Now let's get to a player who was taken in the first round of every fantasy football draft, and thus far, it's produced the least points, George. I mean, I thought you'd just take a rookie running back in the first round and you get yourself 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But Boise State's Ashton Genty for the Las Vegas Raiders, we got out of excuses, right? Like at this point, it's they got to give him the ball more. They got to do this. They got to do that. I mean, George, does this guy look like Barry Sanders? Like that was the comparisons? Like I haven't seen any of that yet.
Our panicometer, it doesn't go high enough here. All right, because this is, I mean, come on, we're freaking out here. I don't think it's all Genty, by the way. He has more yards after contact than before contact. That pretty much lets you know what the problem is there. All right, the Raiders needed a running back, sure, but they need an offensive line. All right, they need a couple of offensive linemen. It's not something you can fix in one off season here. So yeah, we're gonna eat it with Genty. He's not gonna be worth the first round pick in fantasy. It's just not. Not this year. In future years, we'll see here, but not this year. The offensive line is not very good. The defense is not very good, so they have to throw the ball more in the second half. They're trailing every game, so that's hurting us as well here. So, yeah, like I said, the panicometer, it doesn't go high enough for this, okay? I am more than concerned. I am not calm. I am critical. I am flipping out.
Isn't there going to be a time where he just breaks it free? George, like, what you said is not false. But I think there's a point being missed here. Why has he not broken free one time the whole season? Not once. To just run away. Like, he's Devin Singletary right now. No offense to Devin Singletary, but that's who he is.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to rise and grind. It's the early line on the SportsGrid Network on a Tuesday morning. Donnie Wrightside along with Joe Ranieri. You know the drill of the next 2 hours. We got you covered on all the hottest topics across the sports landscape. And last night, we had a doubleheader in the National Football League. There was some bad football to be played, but one team actually picked up their first victory of the season. Another team, after opening up 2-0 without Joe Burrow, hoping to hold on for a playoff spot, not looking good for the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll get to those two games in just a bit. But also, Joe, back in our lives, it's Major League Baseball. It's the playoffs. It's do or die Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 4 games today, 4 games tomorrow, and hopefully, Joe, 4 more games on Thursday. What a good time to be in the sports fandom world.
You got to embrace the midweek early baseball slate. Every couple of hours, you'll have a little something on heading into, of course, Thursday night football and college football, and we start it all over again. It is a beautiful time of year, Donnie.
It is, except if you are a Jets fan. Now it's time to talk a little bit of that caffeinated Joe action today, people.
Oh, Donnie. So today we're going to talk about the pure definition of insanity, right? You know what it is. You do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. And there is no better living, breathing example of pure insanity in all of sports than being a fan of or betting on the New York Jets. Let's look last night, Donnie, right? They're 0-3. They're playing the Dolphins, also 0-3, division rival. They take the opening possession that they have. They march right down the field, take up 9 minutes. They are looking great. And then they fumble the ball at the goal line. Of course they did. And then it goes even worse from there because the same old Jets comedy of errors we've come to know and love as fans. Yeah, their once great defense, Donnie, they can't cover anyone. Gave up easy touchdowns, blown coverages. They had 13 accepted penalties. They turned the ball over 3 times, including that soul-crushing fumble on the kickoff to start the second half. Oh, yeah, by the way, we also had a kick return, a fair catch, a punt on the 2-yard line. You cannot make it up, folks. And yes, Justin Fields, did run, had a decent game for sure. Garrett Wilson made a nice catch, got a touchdown wiped off for an offensive pass interference. They give you just enough hope, Donnie, just enough flashes of hope to make you think that maybe this time is different. Newsflash, it's not. It's never different. And by the way, Aaron Glenn said after last week's debacle how, quote, this isn't the same old Jets. Boy, it sure as hell looks like it to me. The lesson here is better is simple, guys. Stop expecting the Jets to change. Stop betting on them to be competent or disciplined because they're not. It is the pure definition of insanity that thinking the Jets will ever not be the Jets. Stop the insanity, Donnie, please.
It's very well stated there, and also understand this. Is Brick Johnson still running the Jets here? You know, the son of Woody Johnson. I mean, that is a mess of an organization, and it's a messy start to their football season to the surprise of not many Jets fans here. But you know what surprises are up next year? The early lineup right here on the early line, which started last night in our doubleheader. Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins pick up the victory there 27-21 over the Jets. But bigger news, Tyreek Hill. I don't know when we're going to see him next. A devastating, dislocated knee, which turns out he also might possibly have an ACL that has been torn. Tough night. It's almost like you win the battle but lose the war. You get your first win, lose your best player. Tough scene last night down in Miami, Joe.
Yeah, not great. I mean, kudos to the rest of the teams for elevating. He was all smiles and stuff, so I wasn't quite sure what it was. He didn't have the old towel over the head as they carted him off. You just knew it wasn't good. And then you're hearing dislocated knee and you're thinking, all right, maybe that's not the worst case scenario, but no, it's probably going to be worse than that. And that's just unfortunate for the Dolphins and for him as well. But make no mistake, Tyreek Hill, no Tyreek Hill. This is still a terrible football team.
It is, and also having a very good game last night. If you take a look at an Adam Schefter tweet about an hour ago, it says, in addition to dislocating his knee, Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill also tore multiple ligaments in his knee, including his ACL per sources. Still in the hospital, will be undergoing surgery. For a guy that's smaller in stature, built on speed and cutting ability, I don't know if he can be able to come back from this, but also that's why he signed those big contracts and get those guaranteed signing bonuses. He will be just fine here. The Miami Dolphins, that could be another story. Let's hit game number 2 last night of the doubleheader in the NFL. The Denver Broncos easily dispatched of the Cincinnati Bengals 28-3. Joe, that's back-to-back performances, embarrassingly, for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, not good for the Bengals. But again, we talked about it yesterday, Donnie. I mean, what do you think? That offensive line is in total shambles. They can't run the ball. You're not going to go into Denver and win in the trenches. And they didn't, Donnie. I mean, 28-3. And Bo Nix and that offense finally starting to find a rhythm after tough back-to-back road losses where they shot themselves in the foot. They did not do that last night. Good win for Denver. Terrible look for the Bengals.
Man, Bengals 2-0. Hold on, man. Boy, they look brutal on offense and defense, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. The Denver Broncos pick up a nice victory. They'll be on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Lamar Jackson, you saw an embarrassing performance for the Baltimore Ravens. That's not something we say a lot, Joe, to be honest. But also, to add insult to injury, injured Lamar Jackson, his hamstring. No updates yet, but whenever I hear quick quarterback, hamstring injury, I don't think he plays this week, Joe.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, the reality is, does he really need to play this week? I don't think so.
True.
I think they'll be fine. And listen, they have other issues here. They are more than capable with Cooper Rush offensively to be able to win some games until Lamar can get back out there. But it's that defense. They better figure that out in a hurry, Donnie. And they better get healthy here with a few other guys first as well.
Yeah, it's talking about getting healthy here. That's not Malik Neighbors. He'll be healthy, hopefully, in a year from now. Jackson Dart gets his first start on Sunday, pick up a victory over the unbeaten Chargers. And how do you respond to that? Neighbors gets an ACL in the middle of that game. Tough look there for the Giants that looked like they had their quarterback and their wide receiver of the future. Just going to take a little bit more time now.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate all the way around. I mean, the roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. You're so excited because you think you found your franchise quarterback, and at the same time, what was supposed to be his number one target and a 1-2 punch there that was going to carry this team over the next decade. Yeah, well, he's out, and there's no guarantees with any of these with these injuries, Donnie, moving forward. So unfortunate across the board for him.
Certainly is. And how about the 49ers suffered their first defeat of the season? Brock Purdy had missed a game, came back, toe injury here. They're saying now that toe is re-inflamed this week, did not practice yesterday. And the worst case scenario for a football player is, hey, man, I don't feel good for this next coming week. Oh, keep in mind, you don't play Sunday. You play Thursday night. Brock Purdy's status up in the air, Joe.
They better light some sage or hold a seance, Donnie. The 49ers are a hot mess here, and it's not getting better.
No, certainly not getting better. How about Kevin Durant? He thinks he's getting better with the Houston Rockets and goes, you know what? You want to pay me more money? I'll sign that piece of paper that says contract extension. Yes, you can pay me more money.
Yeah. Can you hear me all the way back there 10 years ago, Durant? Nobody's paying you that kind of money at all to go ahead and watch you on the decline. Sorry.
Hired to be fired. That's what you get as a coach or a baseball manager. Bob Melvin let go by the San Francisco Giants. It's an underwhelming season. Just the way it is. They'll be looking for another manager to come in here and rally the troops. But next, you're going to want to hold on. Spread lines are on deck right here on the early line.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, the early line rocking and rolling in hour number one on a Tuesday morning, and we got Major League Baseball. 4 games in the playoffs today. Cannot wait for that. In the NFL, they're not too far off. Thursday Night Football, we're going to get another look at another week in the NFL. But before we get there, we like to get into the spread lines, Joe Ranieri. And the reason we do this is we want to give you the headline topics mixed in with the spreads and why they make sense or maybe don't make sense to the general public. Our first one, Joe, brings the San Francisco 49ers to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Did you know this line line opened up at a minus 3-point spread in the favor of the Los Angeles Rams. Injury upon injury to the San Francisco 49ers, Joe. We're now seeing a 5.5 at most outlets right now. The spread lines for San Francisco, heavy movement here, Joe.
And 5.5 is no man's land in sportsbook world there, Donnie. The books are kind of just giving you right there at that 5.5 because there's really no value one way or the other, mostly because they have no idea what we're going to get from the 49ers at this point. Is Purdy playing? Is he not playing? I think if Purdy plays, we'll probably see the line movement closer to the open, maybe 3.5. If he doesn't, I think that's what you're looking at, that 5.5. Maybe it'll go to 6, but the total is also interesting because it hasn't budged at all. Opened at 47, still seeing 47 on a short week with the Rams playing at home.
Look at that, eyeing back-to-back losses possibly for the San Francisco 49ers after a couple wins to start the season. You just have to get healthy. They're going in the opposite direction here. Spread line number 2, Joe. Let's go to the Charm City. Talking about some of the same things we just talked about in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Why? Houston is going to take on Baltimore. That look-ahead line, Joe, before that game was played on Sunday for both teams, was 9.5. Do you know where it sits this morning? Minus 3.5 as a favorite towards Baltimore. Oh, no. Did Baltimore lose their entire team in a blowout loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, Joe? What gives on this spread line between Houston and Baltimore?
Yeah, and the hook is available still. 3.5s in a lot of spots. I don't know how long that's going to last. But again, I mean, give Harbaugh and the Ravens credit. They were so non-committal about anything with Lamar. And who knows exactly what you're going to get there. But I am more concerned with the other injuries there. Roquan Smith on the defensive side of the ball, Humphrey in the secondary. You know, they need to get a little healthier. Forget about Lamar because, quite honestly, the first 1 to 10 points is going to win this game because Houston's offense is trash. However, they're going to need to get healthier on the defense. I still see this thing going off a little bit higher, Donnie, than where it is right now, but it's a wait-and-see game to figure out who's going to be under center here for Baltimore.
And by the way, one of the best defensive tackles in football, Madubuike there, they were hoping to get him back in a week or two. He's down for the season now with the neck injury. Just devastating news for the Ravens. It's all catching up with them now. But we do have Major League Baseball on the horizon today. It starts at 1:08 p.m. Eastern. That's Detroit and Cleveland today. Tarek Skubal's on the mound as a heavy favorite, close to minus 170. The spread line today, Joe, for you with the Tigers and the Guardians.
Yeah, well, we finally got the Guardians starting pitcher announcement, right? Gavin Williams, it was either him or Tanner Bybee, but Williams gets to go. That makes a ton of sense given the fact that the Tigers can't hit right-handed pitching, Donnie. And we told you yesterday, Skubal opened up as a minus 150 favorite without knowing who he was pitching against. That went as high as $1.75 yesterday. And then Williams was announced, and all we've seen is Guardians money coming back down now to minus 155. But it's the total, Donnie, I'm interested in. That was 7, 6.5. I'm seeing 6s across the board. These are two of the worst hitting teams down the stretch in Major League Baseball. This game doesn't scream run fest, but Donnie, if this thing drops to 5.5, I may not have a choice here but to go up and over the total in this one.
Sometimes you just see the 6s and say, okay, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, because the expectations of Skubal going 9 innings and throwing 110 pitches probably aren't there. And the first sign of you get in trouble, they go right to the bullpen. It's not a lot of runs. Like taking the under, 5. Like you get 5. That's it. 6, you push. 7, you lose that. That's incredible. Game number 2 we'll talk about, which actually the nightcap tonight, Joe, Cincinnati and Los Angeles. Green's going to be on the mound going up against Snell, the largest line of the day at close to minus 196 or higher at some other outlets, approaching minus 200 to minus 205. The spread line tonight for those Reds and Dodgers, Joe, is what?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? Still, we thought Snell was going to go, figured it was going to be Hunter Green, but this is another one, Donnie. You know, all 4 of these games today, first 5 totals, 3.5. Full game totals hovering around 7 or less. They are expecting 4 pitching duels, the market is telling us here across the board, especially in this one where this is your biggest favorite with the Dodgers. But call me crazy here. We've seen both Snell and Hunter Green be dominant, but we've also seen them walk a ton of guys and put themselves in bad positions here. I'm thinking the over is not a bad look here because, both of these bullpens, Donnie, can get lit up like Christmas trees in a hurry here in the latter half of these games. So I'm thinking if this thing gets down to 6.5, I'll be pulling the trigger on the over with the Dodgers and Reds.
Playoff baseball is insane. Look, you have a 6 and 3 sevens tonight on the totals. It's like it's a different ball game, and technically it really is, which brings us up to our final game that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's the rivalry game. It's Boston and New York, 6:08 start Eastern here. Low spread here. I should say low money line. Minus 132 is at the opening number, between minus 130 to minus 136, depending where you're shopping at. Crochet versus Fried, two left-handed pitchers on the mound today. What's your spread line for this one, Joe?
It's kind of crazy. I get the low total in this one. Makes total sense, right? 6.5's popping up all over the place here with these two guys. Here's a crazy fact about both these teams, though. For the third straight season, the Yankees have scored more runs on the road than at home. And Boston scored more runs on the road than they did at home. I mean, both these lineups know each other. The bullpen is the issue for me with the Yankees, right? So if I'm looking anywhere, Donnie, in this series or in this game, I'm looking at the first 5 innings here. I'll be doing it each and every game. I think the Yankees get the Crochet. Third time's a charm here. I'll be backing them in the first 5.
4 games on the docket today for Major League Baseball. Starts at 1:08. That's Detroit and Cleveland. 3:08. That's San Diego and Chicago. 6:08. Boston and New York. And then we have 9:08. Cincinnati and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And as I just said, a 6 for a total. And then those high numbers, Joe. 7, 7, and 7 at that point. Incredible stuff for Major League Baseball. But we got more football to talk about. Where's Fireman Ed when you need you? Jets fans, stand up. You just sit down with a paper bag on your head.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
$341 million of payroll. Best record in Major League Baseball through June 12th. 5th worst record after that. They would have made the playoffs, as this tweet says, because why? They just needed a win on Sunday versus Miami, and they couldn't beat the Marlins who have like a $50 million payroll. The Metropolitans are out, but hey guys, did you see Juan Soto's great season?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Not betting-wise, action-wise. Like, I got to watch this game at 12.
I want to see Notre Dame, Arkansas. I want to see.
He's in, people. He's in.
I'll tell you another
Notre
game.
Dame.
It's under. I want to see Duke and Syracuse at 12:45.
Nobody wants to see that game.
Nah, stop.
I mean, there's people that we know that would like that game, but we don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? We're not watching any of that game.
Ricky Collins?
Big
Ricky Collins?
game Saturday, Joe.
Okay,
Got to get your focus back for this. It's the SEC. It just means more.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
All right, if I was Fireman Ed right now, Joe Ranieri, right? You put me on the Jumbotron, and then I quiet the crowd now. We get quiet, and then we hit the Jets, 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 Jets. That's about as good as the season's gone for you here. 0-4 to start, but it's a new regime. It's a new regime, Joe Ranieri. Don't you feel more confident? We're going to take a look at our franchise quarterback. It's Justin Fields. Doesn't look that good. How about a nice rebuild defense? I came from Detroit where we talk about grit, and we have a great defense, and I'm going to bring that transition over. They can't stop anybody at this point. But we're going to be a fundamentally sound team that, as Dan Campbell used to say, we're going to drag you out into the deep end and drown you. All they do is false start and have pre-snap penalties. And then once you do start playing football, fumbling the football and not being very active. Joe, the Jets are 0-4. Hey, they lost to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are really good. The Dolphins came in at 0-3. Jets lose 27-21. Oof, boy.
Yeah, they couldn't wait to get rid of Robert Saleh, right? Saleh was just, oh no, he had to go. But yet, the Jets consistently, as bad as they were on offense, which had nothing to do with Saleh, given the fact of who you gave him to work with, but that defense was one of the best in the NFL consistently, Donnie, right? So now all of a sudden, Aaron Glenn, former Jet defender, coming up with the Bill Parcells tree. Don't forget, he played for Parcells with the Jets, and Parcells was instrumental in getting him into coaching. And right now, Parcells has got to be pulling out hair and just rolling over, Donnie, because none of what the Jets do, none of why they lost this game or the game prior. I mean, that's 3 out of 4 one-score losses, Donnie. And in each and every one of them, the Jets shot themselves in the foot by playing undisciplined, unfundamental football. And that's why. It wasn't that they were purely beat, except for the Bills game. But that's not a knock on the Jets, right? The Bills do that to a lot of teams. But all other 3 games, they should have won, could have won, should be 3-1. Instead, they find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. That's coaching, Donnie. That's on the coaching staff. There better be some personal accountability here at some point. I don't know how many other guys you can cut. That seemed to be his thing, Aaron Glenn, wasn't it early on?
He cut himself at this point. By the way, again, I love to just box score shop, Joe. And if I presented you before the game, Joe, I got the almanac, and I already see exactly what's going to happen tonight. Justin Fields is going to go 20 of 27 for 226, a touchdown pass, and no interceptions for a passer rating of 111. And oh, by the way, the Jets on the ground, they'll have 28 carries for 197 yards, 7 yards per carry. And yet they lose the football game. And understand this, you might see the final score 27-21. It really wasn't that close. It was late touchdowns here, the Jets trying to get back into the game. This was a blowout on paper, but you see the statistics and say, how? How in the world does this actually happen to the Jets? It's poor fundamentals. If you turn the football over and lose the turnover battle, you're going to get beat 9 out of 10 games in the NFL. And also from a Jets perspective, where do you go from here? Because I look at the statistics for Justin Fields, and then you watch the eye test. He's just an athletic running back playing quarterback that can't hit the easy passes. Oh, Donnie, but he went 20 of 27. Watch the football game. He's great with his legs, terrible making adjustments in the air, and also they didn't block for him very well last night either. The Jets just look like an absolute debacle this season already, Joe.
And because he's as athletic as he is, he could have been sacked 9 times last night, Donnie, with how he was running for his life out of the shotgun, no less, on every play. But he wasn't the reason they lost that game. You fumble on the goal line. You get a offensive pass interference taking a touchdown away there for Wilson. And then you start the third quarter. You're down a score. You start the third quarter by fumbling the kickoff, and then you put the same guy out there who fair catches a punt at the 2-yard line, Donnie. How is that not coaching? You got to be kidding.
Exactly. It's just been brutal because when you have a bad football team, Joe, and you're starting as a coach with a new regime, it's like you're starting at the foundation, which is the fundamentals, right? We might not win football games. We're going to play really hard, and we're going to be fundamentally sound. And maybe in the next couple of years, we'll add the talent that goes along with that foundation. And it's just not working. It's not happening right now. We'll see what the Jets do. But by the way, I don't think this like make me commissioner. Like last night's uniforms for the Dolphins, I love them. Joe, I hate alternate uniforms, but for Miami, that was a clean look last night. It was.
That was very cool. And they're a hot seller down here for sure. Because, well, let's face it, that's the only fan base here. I don't know if they're going to be selling a lot of these in Minnesota, but it's pretty big seller here in South Florida.
Those Dolphins, we're going to talk about them next. What does it mean for the future and the Tyreek Hill injury? Not a good situation. We'll be right back on the early line coming up next.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
$341 million of payroll. Best record in Major League Baseball through June 12th. Fifth worst record after that. They would have made the playoffs, as his tweet says, because why? They just needed a win on Sunday versus Miami, and they couldn't beat the Marlins. They have like a $50 million payroll. The Metropolitans are out, but hey guys, did you see Juan Soto's great season?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Not betting-wise, action-wise. Like, I got to watch this game at 12.
I want to see Notre Dame, Arkansas. I want to see.
He's in, people. He's in.
I'll
He's
tell you
in on
another
Notre
game.
Dame.
It's under. I want to see Duke and Syracuse at 12:45.
Nobody wants to see that game.
Stop.
I mean, there's people that we know that would like that game, but we don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? We're not watching any of that game.
Ricky Collins?
Big
Ricky Collins?
game Saturday, Joe.
Okay,
I need your focus back for this. It's the SEC. It just means more.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Where do the Miami Dolphins go from here? Sitting at 1-3 on the season. Okay, you got your first win, and you could save the coach, and he's back for a couple more weeks. And how about last night, Joe? You actually got a tight end to start to perform. Darren Waller, 3 catches, 27 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's a great addition to your offense, and maybe you can get things going. And then the Tyreek Hill injury happened. Blows up his knee. Not going to be back, obviously, this year. Who knows for the future of the Miami Dolphins where that actually lines up, because that was devastating. He was actually just starting to perform as well. 6 catches, 67 yards, probably well on his way to 100 yards in that football game. Tua Tagovailoa, underwhelming, maybe, but 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a passer rating of 115. That's all you needed to beat the Jets last night. What is the future now of the Miami Dolphins without Tyreek Hill?
Well, I mean, I thought Waller retired, but who knew? You're going to have guys like Waller stepping up. Waddle has got to step up. You know, A-Chain's got to step up here. There are going to have to be Malik Washington. You're going to have the other guys get involved in a big way here, and it's kind of hard to reproduce that speed and that ability to be able to, stretch the field here. He was their most explosive player, right? I think he led the team through 3 games. He had just about 200 receiving yards, which wasn't great. But like you said last night, he looked the part. He was doing exactly what they needed to do. They were moving the chains with him. The Jets you always have to know where he is on the field. I don't know that defense is moving forward without Hill there. Nobody's worried about over the top getting beat, right? So time will tell, but I just don't know how you would have replaced him anyway. Even if you trade, you're not replacing that speed. You can't.
Yeah, you certainly can't, and that's a shame because that dynamic duo wide receiver here, who knows if it could have got cranked up and you add in the tight end and Achane's running well, but that's all out now. You're right. Jalen Waddle was drafted high for a reason. He's a really good wide receiver playing that Batman to Robin there. Instead of being Robin, he's got to step up as Batman now in that offense for the Miami Dolphins. But by the way, the New York Jets, Breece Hall after the game had an unbelievable quote. I mean, fantastic. The quote goes like this: teams shoot themselves in the foot, then we come back and shoot ourselves in the head. That is fantastic. Like, if you want to sum up like being a Jets fan, doesn't that feel like he encapsulates exactly what Jets fans go through each and every week?
Exactly it. I mean, listen, it's one thing I'd rather lose 45-7, right? Like, just blow me out. But the fact that you continue to lose one-score games and you do it by self-inflicted wounds is just beyond me. So, and if Breece Hall is saying that, what are they saying in the locker? Like, how do you change that culture, Donnie? Because it's not you don't have the talent. Hold on to the damn ball. Like, stop jumping off sides. This is not difficult stuff here. And yet the Jets can't seem to figure it out, even with a new regime in place.
How about this next football game, which was the second part of the doubleheader last night on Monday Night Football? Game number 1 was the Dolphins-Jets. Game number 2 was the Bengals and the Broncos. Good-looking first drive for the Bengals. They wanted to get points, first and goal inside the 10-yard line, settle for a field goal. All right, let's take the crowd out of it. Yeah, 28 unanswered points there for the Denver Broncos as they roll up. I think they're still rushing on the ground. I think you see Bo Nix still throwing the football. Bo Nix, 326 yards passing. The ground game for Denver, 38 carries for $186, which was 5 yards per carry. The Cincinnati Bengals, which started the season 2-0 and lost Joe Burrow. Okay, we have a capable backup in Jake Browning. He's looked pedestrian the past 2 weeks. This team, the Bengals, they look awful, Joe.
Well, you're right, Donnie. They didn't look awful on that opening drive. 12 plays, 62 yards. And then, they got the field goal. But then after that, Donnie, they didn't run another play in the Broncos side of the field. They had just 159 yards of offense. And listen, Bo Nix last year, he was night and day at home compared to the road. And couple of tough games for him on the road, back-to-back road games here. Now he came home last night against a very beatable defense, and he beat him. That's exactly what he did. So I think Bo Nix back on track here. Going to be interested to see them moving forward because, Donnie, in the trenches, there are very few teams that are going to be able to push this team around both offensively and defensively.
And again, another bad defensive performance here for the Cincinnati Bengals. But let's digress into this, right? Last year, correct me if I'm wrong, the Bengals were horrendous on defense. It's a defensive coordinator. He lost his fastball at this point, Lou Anarumo. You go this week, you had to hire Al Golden, and you have all that turmoil in the offseason. Now, you get your first-round pick back in camp. You signed Trey Hendrickson. But the thought process was like, yeah, that's their only 2 players on defense. They're not going to be able to hold up. And Joe Burrow is going to have to throw for 400 yards a game to keep you in it. So the one thing that we did know is their defense stinks, and it does. But now what we know is the offense is horrendous without Joe Burrow. Jake Browning, 14 of 25, 125 yards. And you know what makes this even worse? Like, this is back-to-back weeks where you're just supposed to get easy yards in blowout football games. They can't even get the easy yards. You do have a running game that's been stagnant because your offensive line can't block. You have 2 Ferraris at wide receiver that can't get the football because why? You don't have to have 9 men in the box. You can't use play action and a quarterback that's been really inaccurate over his past 2 games. Where are we going here for the Bengals? Because now they sit at 2-2. It seems like, for me, all hope is gone right now. Even though there were 2 road games that they played, they'll eventually get some home games. But this team just looks like it stinks, Joe.
The Bengals have now been outscored 55-6 in the first half in the last 2 games, Donnie, last 2 weeks. And they don't even look, it's not even, there's no sense of urgency with this team. They, granted, it's like once Burrow went down, they threw their hands up and they were like, that's it. I mean, even though they started off the season, right, with a couple of wins, ever since he's gone down, they have there's no discipline. There is no urgency, no excitement. All they're doing is chucking it up and hoping Chase or Higgins can come down with it. That's not a game plan. And they can't run. If you can't run the ball, then you're asking Brownie to what? Do it with his arm every week? I mean, that's a recipe for disaster here.
Let's take a look, by the way, at the Denver Broncos and the expectations for them on the season, Joe. Open up with a win against the Titans. Titans are really bad, 20-12, but also you watch that football game, the Broncos didn't play all that well. Colts game, they probably should have won. Phantom call at the end of the game. Chargers, close loss on the road there, 23-20. Then you pound the Bengals. Now, you got the Eagles coming up this week, which will be a tough game. But after that, Joe, it's Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders over those final 5 games here to sort of say, you know what? We understand that Kansas City is 2-2. The Chargers are losing games, ending injured. Now, your outlook, Joe, on the Denver Broncos moving forward is what?
Well, big tests are coming up, right? So that we're going to see really what this team is made of. And I was really glad to see how they went about the offense last night, right? You're talking about Bo Nix distributing the ball quickly, making the decisions. They're rotating, Harvey and Dobbins there. I think their running game could be huge this year. Although under Sean Payton, I think that was like one of the first time. We haven't seen a 100-yard rusher with Sean Payton and Denver here in quite some time. But they really got the running game, which set everything else up for Bo Nix. Now we got to see it against some of the better teams. And more importantly, with Bo Nix, Donnie, we're going to need to see it on the road. That's where we're going to need to see it here. And that defense, though, is definitely championship quality.
It'll be interesting to see how when they get to Philadelphia, too, because understand this. The Eagles are technically at an advantage. Played Sunday. Broncos played Monday Night Football. The Broncos will be on the road. But when you play a game like you played against Tampa Bay in 100-plus degree temperatures, that takes a lot out of your football team. Lane Johnson banged up that stinger again. You take a look at A.J. Brown, not happy. Not a great second half to say the least for Jalen Hurts, who didn't throw for a single yard. You're talking about one of those games for the Broncos where they could change the landscape of at least the AFC if they go into Philadelphia, a team that has won 20 games out of 21, including being the Super Bowl champions in their own building, and win that football game. That'll say a lot for Sean Payton and that team. So you're right about this. The tests are going to come. And if they can pass that test in Philadelphia, as I said, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders, the next couple games on their docket, they could really build momentum here and be one of those teams that you're going to have to watch out for. You know what teams we have to watch out for? There's 8 of them today. It's Major League Baseball. It's the playoffs. Let's get handicapping next.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where like Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
It's Tuesday. We're usually saying to ourselves, oh no, Monday Night Football, what happened? We're waiting for Thursday night in the college football slate to start up. Not so fast, people. If you disappeared from Major League Baseball, which, by the way, a lot of the country does, and I don't blame them. I love baseball. May, June, July, August. Once we hit September, it's like, is this season over? Because, boy, I love myself some football. But as a Phillies fan, it's Red October. I love it. My Phillies won't be playing until Saturday, Joe. But the postseason picture is set, and we get underway today. Afternoon baseball. What a novel concept. Joe, if most execs had their way, they'd probably be like, okay, we need a game at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight, 2 a.m. because that's the best. No! Baseball is meant to be played in the afternoon, Joe. I love it. A spread out 4-game slate to enjoy today. How about it?
Gotta love it, Donnie. This is what it's all about this time of year. And they've worked very hard, Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred, to try to remain relevant right through the end of the regular season and heading into the postseason. And the timing of this is great, right? No football, coming off of a couple of Monday night games, and now Major League Baseball will be back in focus over the next 2 to 3 days for sure.
Now, let me ask you this question, too, because here's me, again, being commissioner. Like, the commissioner of baseball understands, hey, let's open up our primetime slate on Thursday night and go head-to-head with the NFL. We'll put 4 games on there. Hey, WNBA, this is how you schedule. Baseball can play 1 in the afternoon on a Tuesday and still get ratings and people would enjoy it? WNBA, wake up. Play your games during the day in the playoffs so you don't conflict with other Major League Baseball and also NFL games. Novel concept if you want to make more money. But let's get down to it. The World Series odds. The Philadelphia Phillies sit there on the leaderboard right now at a plus 450 price, followed by the Mariners and the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Yankees, and the Brewers here. We're voting, Joe. Who's your vote for your World Series odds bet right now at those price points?
I'm still kind of laughing how the Brewers and the Yankees now 6-7 to 1 price is, I think, interesting to say the least there. I still think the Brewers are the team to beat in the National League. And I think people are going to overlook them once again. They're going to undervalue them. They have been all year long, Donnie, even when they were clearly ripping off 14 straight wins. Everybody kept being like, nah, this ain't going to last. This team is no good. No, this team is that good. And they are made up just like we have seen in years past with the Royals and the Marlins and the Rain teams that you're like, wait, who's on this team? Yeah, well, those are the kinds of teams that play better team baseball than the guys that it's either home run or bust, Donnie. And we got enough of those teams in the postseason right now.
Oh, we certainly do. If we focus here on the National League, because we're going to talk about the Padres and the Cubs in just a few moments here. But the NL odds, the Phillies are the favorites here, Joe, to win the pennant. Plus 195, followed by the Brewers at plus 310, Dodgers 320, Cubs 650. Then there's those Padres at a plus 750 price. Understand this. Starting pitching is very important. Nobody's going to downplay that. But even more important there is how you can match your bullpen up against some of the better hitters on the other team. The Padres have guys that can be lights out. You take a look at Mason Miller since August 6th, 20 games pitched, Joe, 21 1/3 innings, 0 earned runs, and 42 strikeouts over 74 batters. They can go toe-to-toe here. Value, maybe on the Pods?
Yeah, I don't think so. The problem with the Padres is they're much better at home than they are on the road, Donnie. They've been like that all year because simply, it's a pitcher's ballpark. So it's not conducive to hitting home runs like you do in some of these other ballparks. And they're not a great power hitting team, the Padres. But we also know home runs are the great equalizer in the postseason. And there are teams that can do it and teams that can't. And I think the Padres are up against it right now because they're going to spend a lot of time on the road, and that's not great for them.
No, it's certainly not great for them here. But if we do take a look, Nick Pivetta is going to get the nod here as starting pitcher. Game number 1 for the Padres going up against the Cubs. Boyd is going to go for Chicago. If we line this game up, Joe, 7s across the board. And again, this isn't Wrigley. The wind is blowing in, but not a hurricane force wind out there. 7 to 8 miles per hour. Nice temperatures, mid-70s, Joe, and also no precipitation in the forecast. Good game. If we open the lines at minus 120, they've dipped. Minus 115s, minus 110s, depending where you're shopping at. A de facto pick 'em here. Pivetta versus Boyd. What are you seeing today in this game for you, Joe?
Again, we're seeing two totally different teams here, Donnie. Number one, the Cubs are finally healthy again, which is fantastic for them. But keep an eye on the wind. Where is the wind blowing? And afternoon baseball games at Wrigley, that's what matters. And when you look at how dominant Chicago was at Wrigley, I think they were 50-38 at home this year. Obviously below 500 there for the Padres. The Cubs hit the better long ball, Donnie. They know the park better. They are healthy here. It's kind of hard. It looks to me like Boyd, after the All-Star break, he's starting to run out of gas. He's thrown more innings, Donnie, in this season than he has thrown the last three combined. It's starting to get that wear and tear starting to show with him.
And by the way, if you look at the pitchers and line them up analytically, Joe, since August the 1st, so give yourself roughly 2 months here, Matthew Boyd actually comes in last with an ERA of 4.82, an xFIP number of 4.65 over 56 innings pitched. You know who's the 8th pitcher on the card today that's ranked? That's Nick Pivetta here. A 3 ERA, which is better than Boyd's 4.82, but analytically a 4.20 xFIP number. So if I'm looking at Nick Pivetta going up against Matthew Boyd, there's not much of a huge discrepancy. But if we are playing in Wrigley, and I understand, like I just told you, that San Diego bullpen is spectacular at this point. I got to tell you, like if I'm looking at this game and saying if there's one chance I think for the road team possibly to come away with a victory in the National League, because Cincinnati's going to have a tough time, I think it is the San Diego Padres tonight, Joe. I do.
Yeah, Michael King, by the way, has been left off the wild card rotation. They were hoping maybe they could get him to work out of the bullpen. But listen, this is going to be, and I'll give you another fun fact here, Donnie. You know what the best bullpen, the number one bullpen post the trade deadline has been? The Chicago Cubs. They don't get enough credit. Nobody talks about it, but they have been better than the Padres bullpen down the stretch here, and that's going to be important with the wind blowing in here in Chicago.
Chanting PCA, PCA. Love that. 3:08 start at Wrigley, the way it's supposed to be. Day baseball games. For you kids out there that didn't know, for about 100 years, Wrigley Field didn't have any lights. They always played in the day. Back to day baseball. Love it. But let's take a look at the Dodgers. Who is in their starting rotation for their wild card round against the Reds?
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like it's to the point where like Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so. Yeah, it's like guys, like he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We've been waiting for the Dodgers, Joe Ranieri. I mean, look, they're a good baseball team. We get that. But, we wanted to know who's going to be in that starting lineup, particularly the pitchers, so we can get a little taste for that postseason action. And by the way, if they stay healthy and they pitch up to plan, the Dodgers are going to be a tough team and a tough out in the playoffs, no doubt about it. They're priced that way as well. Talking Baseball sent out a tweet that says the Dodgers will go with Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Shohei Ohtani as their wild card starters. But they also said if they get the sweep, which means the first 2 wins of the series go to the Dodgers, they end the red season, they move on to Philadelphia, and Ohtani would actually start the NLDS game number 1 in Philadelphia. How about that for a starting rotation, Joe?
Pretty impressive stuff, right? So starting pitching, not an issue here for the Dodgers, and none of us ever thought it would be, right? So the issue, Donnie, is going to be, well, what if one of those starting pitchers isn't exactly in peak form or doesn't have a great game and that bullpen has to get involved? That's the thing that would worry me about the Dodgers. But in each and every game, certainly in this series, they're going to have a huge early advantage here, even against Hunter Green, which is feast or famine, right? He either pitches where he can go a complete game, 1 hitter, and that's the end of it, or he's going to give up 4 or 5, 6 runs and last 3 innings, and then that Reds bullpen gets involved. So more confident in the starting pitching with the Dodgers than you have to be with the Reds.
By the way, looking at this Dodgers game tonight, late night game, 9:08 start, East Coast time, 7s across the board as a total, Joe. Let's call it minus 200 as a favorite for the Dodgers. And both of these pitchers, analytically and also just eye test, they've been brilliant over the past 60 and 30 days in their intervals here. Is the way to bet this game, don't you dare worry about the bullpens coming in and maybe the pitchers, because can't we see like a 2-1, maybe 3-1 maximum over the first 5 innings?
This is all going to depend on Hunter Green because Donnie at home in Cincinnati, he was almost unhittable in Cincinnati. But on the road, 2-3 with a 4.81 ERA. He's also has not been great against the Dodgers in his career. So, what version of him do you get here tonight? If you get the locked-in version, this thing, Donnie, the first 1 to 2 runs is going to win. I'm with you. But the problem is, it's all up to him. I think we know what kind of Snell we're going to get here, but to me, this is all about Hunter Green. Can we trust him to do something on the road against this Dodgers team that he hasn't done yet all year long on the road? So would love to see it, but if not, it's going to be over early for the Reds tonight.
How about the American League, Detroit and Cleveland? They're going to get the day started off at 1:08 Eastern. And by the way, welcome in Cleveland, the division champions who can't hit, can't pitch. Half their team was banished because they were gambling on baseball games. And yet here they are at home, but a heavy underdog to start, as high as plus 140 out there, which means Detroit is a favorite in around that minus 165 to minus 170 range. Schoolbull versus Williams. And Detroit, they ain't coming in on any heater into the playoffs. They were terrible in the month of September, Joe.
Yeah, they were, but does it ultimately mean anything now the postseason play? I don't know that it's correlated, but I do know this. The amount of games that these two teams have played down the stretch, there is nobody more familiar with one another than them. And as far as confidence goes, I don't know how the Guardians have any more momentum and confidence than they have right now. They know they can beat Schoolbull. They've already beat them twice the last couple of times there. And by the way, Gavin Williams, a 1.88 ERA and 4 September starts. He's won both his games over the Tigers. There's a reason why this is such a low total. Both offenses are hot garbage. They are terrible, Donnie. The Tigers hit lefties better than righties, but they're likely not going to get a lefty in this spot. So it's kind of hard to look at anything other than unders, team total unders across the board here in this series, Donnie.
And by the way, if Cleveland beats Schoolbull game number 1, like Detroit just pack up and go home at that point because it's a rout. Like you would just completely demoralize that franchise, Joe.
Yep. And again, Gavin Williams has been like this whole pitching staff of the Guardians has been fantastic here. And even when Schoolbull pitches well, they don't score any runs for him and they end up losing anyway. So they have to win game 1. I'm with you here. It's Detroit win or go home.
Yeah, but Boston and New York, they're going to take it up at 6:08 p.m. from the Bronx. They're a favorite of around a minus 135 price. Dakota, that's listed at 7. Crochet and Freed. This game seemed to me plays to an under as well, but that ain't an under ballpark, Joe, that we know.
No, it's not, but it's amazing that the Yankees were more productive on the road this year than they were at home. But listen, you got to get the Crochet early. The longer he goes, the stronger he gets.
Hour number 2 is up next year. We're going to take a look at some early lineup action, more Major League Baseball, more NFL talk on the way. Don't you go anywhere. Keep it right here on the Sports Grid Network.